So not only is this another superhero comic book film adaptation, this is arguably the most popular superhero of all time. Did it deliver or is it a massive disappointment? Let's talk about it. My name is Brandon Keith Avery, and this is just my opinion. All right, guys, now we have Superman. Oh my goodness gracious, Superman. This is coming in at 2 hours and 9 minutes, rated PG-13, described as superhero, action, adventure, and science fiction. Of course, this is being directed by Mr. James Gunn. This is what the gentleman looks like right here. You've heard of him. He did Guardians of the Galaxy 1, 2, and 3 with Marvel Studios, and he also did Slither, one of his original films that I own right here on DVD. I was about to say Blu-ray. You see that at the top, widescreen? That's crazy right there. This is a horror comedy. If you haven't seen this film, please check it out. It's great. But also, guys, he is the writer and/or director for the first season of Peacemaker, also the Suicide Squad, and I really did enjoy that film. If you are familiar with Mr. James Gunn and all of his work, please let me know down in the comment section below. And I can't believe I almost forgot to talk about Super. I don't know what year that came out, 2010. That's another banger right there. So when it comes to this film, Superman, my expectations were through the roof. Like I said, I love superhero comic book adaptations. I am a casual fan of Superman. I mean, I like the character, but he's not my favorite. I'm more of a Batman guy, if you want to ask me. And also, it was directed and written by James Gunn. And we went over his filmography, and going into this, I was just saying, this man can do no wrong. I was disappointed with the canceling of the Snyderverse by Zack Snyder. I really did enjoy Man of Steel, and I did enjoy the Snyder cut Justice League, the 4-hour version that was much better than the Whedon version. So I was disappointed when they discontinued that. But when I saw that James Gunn was creating a new universe in DC, and this not being an origin story, like we get Green Lantern and Hawk Girl or Hawk Woman and Mr. Terrific and all these other characters that I've never heard of before, I was like, you know what? Let's do this, okay? Let's approach this in a different way that we've never done before. And I was on board, and I was just saying to myself, I mean, I just couldn't imagine it being bad. I really couldn't. My expectations were through the roof. And so, yeah, and here we are. Now, I will be doing a full spoilers review. I'm going to be linking up with E-Man to do that. It's going to be long, it's going to be epic, and we're really going to get into it. But guys, before I get into all the nitty gritty, before I talk about all my likes and dislikes, let me tell you exactly what this Superman film is all about. Superman must reconcile his alien Kryptonian heritage with his human upbringing as reporter Clark Kent. As the embodiment of truth, justice, and the human way, he soon finds himself in a world that views those as old-fashioned. All right, guys, so the first thing that I really did like about this film is David Cornsweet as Superman, or just Superman himself. His presence in the film is great as far as the actor fulfilling the role. I think he did a great job, and he is a leading man. There was no point in this film to where I was watching like, this does not seem like Superman. He seems weak, he seems frail, he does not seem like he's up to task to pull off this job to save the world or save America or just save people in general. No one wants to listen to this guy. That's not the case at all. I liked him as Clark Kent. I liked him as Superman. And also, just a small nitpick, I thought his wig as Clark Kent was a little bit exaggerated. I don't know why it was so poofed up, but if I had to be honest, that is the only thing that I did not like about Superman and or Clark Kent. I thought he was a great character, and I'm not disappointed. I may give some comparisons to old Supermans in another video or spoilers review, but I don't want to do that right now. But I did like David Cornsweet as Clark Kent and Superman for the most part. In addition to that, with Superman and the whole rest of the movie, I thought it was a beautiful display of all powers and abilities. We got flight all the way in the upper atmosphere, somewhat in space, low to the ground. The cape was flapping, and we did get multiple camera angles and shots of Superman flying around. We have him flying in Antarctica. Now that was just really cool to look at, especially with the backdrop. And then when we see him in the trailers, him twirling around, spinning around, dodging fire attacks and going through buildings. I mean, that's cool. And like I said, the cape was flapping serious in this movie, and I know a lot of fans are going to be happy with that. We got a ton of heat vision, we got a ton of ice breath, and we also got a great display of strength. Superman trying to save people, stop rocks and cars from falling on people, holding up buildings while people are trying to escape. All around, we got a great version of Superman, all of his powers, all of his abilities, and his personality, and also his morals and values with a little bit of politics thrown in here and there. We got to know what is important to him. When he's by himself, what soothes his mind, what calms him down, what gets him going, what motivates him to put on the Superman suit and the boots, not just from saving people. I mean, like, what does he do when he's alone and he's trying to cope with himself and heal and all of that? I loved it. I also did appreciate what they did with the sun, explaining the yellow sun and the red sun. Everybody knows that for the most part, but if you're new to comic book and superheroes and you're not just that familiar on the lore of Superman and how his powers work, they did take a brief moment to explain that as well, and also give us visual representation of how that works. And I did like that too. Now, as far as Lois Lane, played by Rachel Brosnahan, I liked her too. I'm not too familiar with the actress, to be honest with you, but she was cool in this movie. She was a bit annoying as a reporter, but that's accurate. That's how she's always been. So I did appreciate that. And it was respected. You know, I mean, she's worked very, very hard to get to the position that she's in. Without being too obvious, the film makes you well aware of that fact. And she'll do a great job with the interview. She will push those buttons that will frustrate you if you're on the opposite side of her with a recording device. And I also like the fact that while she is accomplished, she is attractive, she is professional, she's still not the best in relationships. And they make a great example of that as well when it comes to do with Clark Kent and or Superman. As far as Jimmy Olsen is concerned, played by Skylar Gisondo, I am not too familiar with that actor at all, to be honest with you. I've never heard of him before. If you're a fan, let me know in the comment section. And I've heard of Jimmy Olsen before in the Superman lore in the comics. Not too familiar with this character. I liked him too. A small nitpick is I think that he got a bit too much screen time as far as the plot is concerned. When he was on screen, I was like, okay, this is okay, but I would rather see something else. It did help the plot, but there could have been other elements, other aspects, other characters that took more screen time than his character. Just something I would have appreciated a bit more. Now, I really do hate to compare this to other films, other franchises, but I really can't help it. I am going to be comparing this to Zack Snyder's Man of Steel or Zack Snyder's DCEU. And while Man of Steel and the Justice League and all that was very dark and gloomy, this Superman film is the exact opposite if it wasn't obvious to you already. While that was a dark and gloomy series, which I have no complaints about because I still liked it overall, this is bright, this is colorful, this is vibrant. It's like rainbows everywhere. And that's not a bad thing. So if you wanted something that's fun, that's lighthearted, with some comedy sprinkled all throughout and just give you a nice, good feeling, hey, this movie is for you. There are so many different versions of Superman. One of them is the save a cat out of a tree type of Superman, and that's what this movie is. Now, that is accurate as well, and I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. It may not be my favorite version of Superman, but it is still accurate, and if that's what you're looking for, I think you'll have a great time with this movie. And while I spoke earlier how it was a great display of all powers and abilities with Superman, it doesn't just stop there. It's with all the characters across the board. Hawkgirl, Green Lantern, Mr. Terrific, Ultraman, Metamorpho or Metamorphosis or whatever his name is. Sorry, I'm not a DC expert. Crypto the dog, and all these other people and characters that I've never heard of. I mean, if you want to see a bunch of powers and just people giving all their might in a fight or defending themselves, I think you'll have a fun time here. And a lot of people before this movie came out were just speculating online and commentary, comment sections, worried that this movie is overstuffed with so many characters. That is not the case for a good 90% of it. I didn't say to myself, wait a minute, who is this character here and where do they come from or what do they do? And that could just be because of my own comic knowledge. So I wonder if somebody that's not into this stuff, how they would feel. But for the most part, that did not bother me. There were a few moments where a character's origin story was rushed through some dialogue and exposition. And I was like, okay, we should have spent a little bit more time there, but I'll get to that later on in this review. And while it wasn't just Superman with all his powers and abilities and all the other characters, the choreography was actually quite nice as well. James Gunn really did take his time to map out, okay, what should a punch, a kick, a throw, a blow, whatever, elbow, what should that look like? While these two characters are fighting over here, what are these three characters doing over here? I don't want to imagine that while these two characters are fighting, these three over here are just wasting time being onlookers. I want to make sure that everybody is giving 100% effort to the fight to come out on top. And I did feel that way when I was watching the action and everybody kicking ass somewhat. For me, the best display of powers and abilities does come from Mr. Terrific. I know nothing about that character other than he's the third smartest person in all of DC Universe. All my experts, please let me know. And that he has 14 PhDs. So he's super duper smart, and he has these T-spheres. Man, he wrecked shop with these T-spheres. That was one of the best parts in the movie. When he was doing his thing, everybody cheered, everybody applauded, everyone hooped and hollered or was nodding their head or clapping. Including myself. I looked to my left, I looked to my right. Even people that was nonverbal, quiet, they looking like, they were just nodding their head, and they wasn't saying anything, but they were just nodding their head like, okay, yeah, that was some dope stuff right there. I was quiet this whole movie, but I gotta show some emotions right now, and here I am. That's what that's what the experience was for me. Like I was impressed when I saw Mr. Terrific doing this thing with them T-spheres. It was the best action scene in the movie for me. And also, of course, we got to talk about Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor. Man, he did such a great job of making you hate him as a character. And that's what he's supposed to do. Lex Luthor is a textbook hater. Google it, his name will pop up. And it's just so annoying and lame and whack for you just to be hating on Superman this much. It's like, dude, get a life. And he has, I have never seen this level of envy before in my entire life. It is ridiculously disgusting. And even that they had a monologue exposition scene talking about his envy as well. And it was a bit cartoonish, but they did stick to it. They were committed. They wasn't bowing down. They were standing 10 toes down. Like, okay, you gonna know how Lex Luthor feels in general and about Superman and jealousy and envy. And it is just hilariously ridiculous, but in the best way. I loved his energy. He had a sense of swag and a confidence to him. He was not afraid of Superman. And I like that. He's a normal human being with money, and he's smart as well. I don't know how smart he is, but he is smart. He got money. Like I said, he has swag, and he wasn't afraid of Superman. And I do like that about him. He positioned himself well to where, like, okay, I have enough authority around this country, around this world, and respect to where Superman, if you lay a finger on me, it's going to be bad for you, sir. And he kind of has Superman in check as far as that's concerned. And I really do like that as well. I loved all the technology and wisdom that Lex Luthor had as well. And not just that he had with Luthor Corp, and experts let me know because they call it Luthor Corp. I thought it was Lex Corp, but maybe Lex Corp comes later. But just also the technology around the world and in the United States, that was wonderful. I love the whole aspect of metahumans and the timeline and lore of how long they've been on Earth. That's definitely something that James Gunn and team can dive into later on in this new DCU, where they want to present films and TV shows in the present day, the future, or go back in the past. There's just a whole big playground sandbox of that they can take advantage of. And that really does make me look forward to the future of what James Gunn has in plan. And this is just really a great new origin story for a universe, a new DC universe, and all the gods and monsters. I really am excited to see what's coming around the corner. I did love the general reception that the public had for Superman and also metahumans. It's been a while. We're thrown right in, 300 years ago, this happened. 30 years ago, this happened. 10 years ago, this happened. So I like that everything is established, and Superman or any other metahumans or aliens are just not new. And like, oh my God, are you here to kill us? It's just a thing, and they're there, and they exist in this world and have been for a long time. And some points I wish they would have got a little bit more political as far as what the president of the United States feels. And if I did miss that, I did apologize. Somebody had their phone out in the theater. I actually had to get an usher's attention to have them turn it off, and that really pissed me the F off. Sorry. As far as Crypto the dog is concerned, sometime I liked him, sometime I didn't. I will speak more of that in a second. I also really did like the engineer. The engineer was dope. I loved her powers and abilities as well. Never heard of the character before. Don't know how much their reach is as far as what they can and cannot do. But what I did see on screen, I did like. I was impressed. They were resourceful and pretty badass too. There were a number of cameos in this film. You have the Justice Gang with Mr. Terrific, Hawkgirl, and Green Lantern, Guy Gardner. I mean, they're prominent in the movie a lot and also in the trailer, but they also throw in a couple of other characters where they get like 2 or 3 seconds of screen time. Some are better than others. I did think one was absolutely horrible. I'm like, why would you introduce the character like this? This is not a good idea, James. I'll talk about that in a spoiler review, but I did like the cameos as well, and also the camera work. We got so many different angles of action and just whatever in this film, and that's cool too. So, guys, that's going to sum up everything that I really did like about the film, all of the positive. Now, let me transition to some things that really rub me the wrong way. And while it may seem with the good part of this review that I love the film, unfortunately, I didn't, guys. I'm a bit disappointed with this film. It is not horrible. It is not trash. It is not the worst of the year or anything like that. I think my expectations were just a bit too high and they were not met. Honestly, as far as James Gunn is concerned, this may have been his worst film in his filmography. Only other film that this may be better than is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. And I did like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. And while I say this may be his worst, I'm not saying that the film is bad. It's just not his best. Because I showed you Slither earlier. I love Slither. Fantastic movie. I love Super. That was great. I love Guardians 1 and I love Guardians 3. I love Peacemaker, even though that was a television show. And the Suicide Squad movie that he came out with DC, that was fantastic. I wish we could have got more of that tone in this movie than what we got. And again, this movie is competing with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 as far as which one is his worst. It's kind of like also with Christopher Nolan. Christopher Nolan is a fantastic director, okay, but I think arguably everybody that can agree that Dunkirk and The Dark Knight Rises is his two weakest films. Not saying that those films are trash or garbage, those are just his weakest, and that's how I feel about this James Gunn Superman. And to be honest with you, the main thing that makes me disappointed about this film is earlier and out of my out of theater reaction as well, I said this movie is a lot of fun, but it's too much fun. It is too lighthearted to where you can't take anything seriously. And what I mean by that is there was not one moment in this film that I felt a sense of danger. Not ever. I never thought anybody was gonna die. I never thought anybody was in trouble. I never was saying, oh my gosh, or what are we gonna do? Who's gonna save the day? Who's gonna help this person to save this person? Throughout the whole movie, whether they were just talking or it was a hell of a lot of action, I always felt to myself, everything is gonna be okay. This person is gonna live, nobody's gonna die. Even if they try to remotely make you think somebody's gonna die, Superman is gonna come through and save the day, or they're gonna escape. And like I said, everything's gonna be okay. And I don't wanna see that. When I was watching Man of Steel, I was like, damn, what's gonna, like when Superman was fighting the Kryptonians at the end of the movie, like he was getting his ass whooped. And I was just like, whoa, like, okay, like this dude needs some help. He could really die. You know, he's in pain right now. And the thing about it is, in this movie, Superman got beat up a lot. And that's not a bad thing as well. Like, he's not invincible. Like, he did have to stand the test of time. He did have competition. And you can see that from the trailers with the engineer and Ultraman, but still I did not feel a sense of danger at all. I just knew that everything was gonna be okay. And that really put a bad taste in my mouth. I wanted to feel scared for Superman and scared for the people that he was saving, and I just did not feel that way. I also did not like any set of parents that Superman Clark Kent had in this film. I did not like his Kryptonian parents, played by, or that may be a spoiler because I don't know if that's been revealed. But Jor-El and his mama, it just didn't do anything for me. And what was worse is Ma and Pa Kent. There was no connection, no chemistry whatsoever between Mom and Pa Kent and Clark Kent Superman. I mean, the casting I already wasn't happy with, but when they was interacting with each other, I was like, okay. I mean, we know that they adopted him when he was a baby. He crashed the ship and they took him on, but I was like, did y'all really raise him? It seemed like y'all met him last month. It was just no chemistry like whatsoever, and that is a bummer. In the Man of Steel version, well, I forgot his name. What is his name? Russell Crowe. Russell Crowe. That relationship between Henry Cavill, Superman, and Russell Crowe in the Man of Steel, Zack Snyder verse, that was perfect. I did not feel that way at all with the relationship that he had with his parents in this film, and that is a big bummer because that defines his character a ton. All right, let's go ahead and get this out of the way when it comes to Superman's costume. I was trying to give them patience, was trying to give them grace, like, okay, this is just a poster, this is just a trailer. Once we see this in the movie, it's gonna work out. And guys, that's not the case. I did not like Superman's costume at all in this movie. I don't understand what James Gunn was thinking. Like, the red underwear was super loose in one scene. I was like, I can just easily stick my hand up there, and like it's just not tight at all. It just did not work. James Gunn, if you're watching this, which I'm probably sure you're not, please give Superman a new costume in the next film. Like, please. And not only was his costume bad, everybody's costume was bad. Mr. Terrific's costume looked ridiculous. Hot Girl's costume looked ridiculous. And also Green Lantern, Guy Gardner's costume would look ridiculous. Like, nobody looked good in that costume. Like, it just looked cheap. It looked worn, well, I don't want to say worn down, but it just didn't look movie Hollywood quality. I don't want to say it looked as bad as like Party City, but I think they could have did a much better job, and that was really disappointing. And while I did like Mr. Terrific's powers and abilities and thought that was dope as hell, I did not like his character at all. It bugged the hell out of me. Mr. Terrific, Eddie Gathegi, if I did pronounce his name correctly, if I didn't, please forgive me, sir. He came across as just the stereotypical black man. And if you've seen this movie that came out, I think in the early 2000s, not another teen movie, it is a spoof comedy film. There was a black guy, he was like the token black guy in that movie. And let me try to look this up real quick. Yes, this movie right here, not another teen movie that came out in 2001. I was still in high school because I graduated in 2002. There's a black guy in this film, and every single time that Mr. Terrific spoke, I thought about this guy, and it bugged the hell out of me. Just going around saying, oh, this is whack, and that's dope, and bullshit. That's how Mr. Terrific came across. I think this is the guy right here, Dion Richmond. I hope I'm not mistaken, but if you remember him from Not Another Teen Movie, yeah, this is what Mr. Terrific did remind me of, and it annoyed the hell out of me. And to be honest with you, I don't know anything about Mr. Terrific. I saw the trailers, had to look him up, had to see that he was the third smartest person in the DCU or DC Comics, and that he has 14 PhDs. I've never met anybody in my entire life that has 14 PhDs. There may not even be a person on the planet that it ever existed now or in the past that had 14 PhDs. But it is very hard for me to imagine somebody that is that smart, that intelligent, that talks this way and tries to be funny and crack jokes at some points in the film. And it was very jarring, and it like clocked me out. I was just like, yeah, this is a superhero metahuman movie, but this aspect, this small element right here just seems very unrealistic. He wasn't nerdy. He didn't have some type of speech impediment or was on the spectrum or anything. He didn't have a problem with social skills. I mean, I don't know. I just imagine somebody being that smart would just have a different type of mind or something like that. And I don't know. I mean, we have Cyborg as well. Cyborg is a computer mind, and he doesn't talk like a robot. I don't know what I was expecting with Mr. Terrific. I was just annoyed by his dialogue, his speech cadence. It just didn't work for me, and the whole stereotypical black person thing, where it was really annoying. And to be honest, I don't even care about stereotypes anymore. Like I did as a child, because as a black person, no matter what, whether we are at the bottom of the barrel or Pookie and Ray Ray, or we're dressed up in suits all the time with 14 PhDs, I mean, we're still gonna be treated like crap from members of the dominant society. So black people, we don't need to be catering to anybody anymore. Just do our thing and be proud about it. I mean, that's how I am. I mean, if you subscribe to my channel, you know that. But this annoyed the hell out of me. It just didn't work. His powers and abilities was dope. Everything else about him, I just wasn't a fan of. And also, I don't know why he has the black mask on his face. Like, what does that mean? I don't know. Now, I know what they didn't explain Green Lantern's powers in this movie, but I already know, about Green Lantern and where that comes from. And so maybe somebody else that has a lot of comic knowledge won't feel that way about Mr. Terrific, but that's how I feel. And that's just because I don't know much about the character. I cannot wait to hear what other people feel about his character too. Let me know down in the comment section right now after you subscribe. I also spoke earlier that I like the public reception or perception that people had of Superman, but that also bugged the hell out of me. And that goes into the story of this movie. Because at one point you had Superman saving the day. He came in and saved everybody. And when he literally lands on the ground, you have children running up to him. Oh my God, thank you, Superman. I love you. You're the best. And people are applauding and clapping. Yay, Superman. Yay, Superman. 5 seconds later, something happens And everybody around the world has a complete 180-degree shift attitude towards Superman. I mean, they love him, and then get one piece of evidence that hasn't even been verified yet, and they start hating him. Like, what the hell? That's crap. That just rushed through. And you see it in the trailer when he's walking and somebody like throws a piece of trash and it hits him in the back of the head or whatever. That's the scene I'm talking about. I thought that was ridiculous. I did not like that at all as far as the story and the plot is concerned, to try to keep this movie going. That was bad writing to me right there. I just, like, in real life, yes, you can have a hero, somebody popular, and they can love you one second and hate you the next, but it just was not justified in this film for people to turn on Superman so fast with little evidence or a lack thereof. That was annoying to me. Also, a lot of the images and clips that was in the trailer, when you finally see them in the movie, very, very anticlimactic. There's that one scene in the trailer where Superman flies in slow-mo, saves the girl from all those tanks, or like those air tanks or orange cone devices. When I saw that in the film, I was like, that's it. I'm like, little girl, why are you right here in the first place, given the events that are going on right now? You deserve to die because of your stupidity. And I didn't like that. Before the first trailer came out, you know, the image that they showed Superman putting on his boots, and they had those neon pink or green, purple lights in the background. It looked like Vegeta from Dragon Ball Z was doing the Gatling gun. That whole scene was dumb. I'm like, really? This is the comedy that I don't want to see in my superhero comic book movies. Now, as far as the comedy is concerned, I said that this is too lighthearted. Like, it was damn near like Marvel in some cases, to where they ruin their superhero moments. Now, there were other people that was laughing out throughout this movie. I think I chuckled once or twice. Y'all remember Iron Man 3, where there was in Air Force One and the people fell out of the plane and they had to do the barrel of monkey technique to save everybody before they hit the water and died and perished? I love that scene. Dope as hell. One of the best scenes of that movie. What ruined it for me is that as soon as Iron Man saved the day, dropped the people off in the water, and he's flying off doing his Iron Man pose, he gets hit by that truck and it demolishes or smashes the Iron Man suit, and we find out that it was remote control the whole time. Ruined that whole Superman moment right there. Also in Iron Man 3, where he's fighting, I think, Killian at the end of the movie, where he's calling his suit to come to take over his body so he can save the day. Right when the suit it's about to be a badass superhero moment, but right when the suit gets close, it hits that rail and breaks apart, ruins the superhero moment. Let's look at Doctor Strange, the first one. Right as we're going into the second and the third act, where Doctor Strange puts on his cape and he looks in the mirror and he's like, okay, it's badass. We finna go into the third act, the final showdown, and kick ass. But then the cape starts rubbing his face like this, ruined a superhero moment. And I'll just give you one more. Shang-Chi, when they're on the bus and Shang-Chi is fighting the goons and also the guy with the laser sword chopping up the bus. Yeah, that's scary, and people are going to be scared and screaming, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, what's going on? And then you had that one guy that was holding up his camera and recording it. It's 100% realistic that somebody's going to record that. I mean, that's the society that we live in today. But he was making jokes about it. Like, nobody's going to be making jokes recording somebody that has a laser sword coming out of their hand, chopping up a bus. You're going to be recording it, but you're going to be scared as hell. Like, oh, what the F, what the crap? Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. These are just examples of them ruining superhero moments, trying to be funny and lighthearted. And that was a lot in this movie. And I just didn't like it. And a lot of it came from Crypto the Dog. Like, Crypto the Dog was strong and he was resourceful, but at other times he was annoying. And I'm like, why are we joking right now when y'all need to be escaping because of, I don't want to spoil it, this bad thing is about to happen and destroy the earth. It was annoying. I did not like it. Too lighthearted, too comical, too funny. No, no, no. I want super epic badness, not all these jokes and stuff. And as far as I'm concerned, like, when you can't take the film seriously, there was not many moments to where I was like, damn, that was badass right there, besides Mr. Terrific. Like, Superman is strong. Like, I'm thinking about Superman Returns, when the bullet was shot in Superman's eye and it just repelled off, or when that dude had that giant Gatling gun and he was just letting loose on Superman's chest and it wasn't doing anything. I can't recall any badass moments like that in this movie. I mean, I could be wrong, but nothing just really just stands out to me, to be honest. But I could be wrong there, so I may need to backspace that, take it back. And as far as Lex Luthor is concerned, what I do like is while there's a ton of metahumans in this movie, and this is a new origin story for a new universe, this movie does focus on it being really just Superman versus Lex Luthor. I do like that. However, I did want a little bit more from Lex Luthor other than him just being a jealous, envious hater. That's fine, but give me more of a reason why you don't like Superman. Like, did he make you lose money? Were you going to be an elected official and he exposed you and you lost some votes? Did he not save a loved one and he saved everybody else, but let this person die? Like, give me something more specific of why you hate Superman so much, but we don't get that. He's just like, I want attention, and Superman is taking the attention away from me. And it's just like, that's just not enough for me. You may even been saying to yourself, Brandon, that's comic accurate. That's how Lex always was. But for me, I just wanted a bit more. There was also a couple of shots of bad CGI with Green Lantern and Mr. Terrific. I was like, the backdrop, I was like, okay, that's obviously fake. They used the blue or green screen, but there was only a few moments in this film. The music and the score was fine. I did like that. There are 2 post-credit scenes. In my opinion, they're a complete waste of time. There's no value to them at all whatsoever. I mean, if you want to stay for them, you can. There's a mid-credit scene and a post-credit scene, but they didn't really do anything for me. And the beginning of this movie was cool, and also the end, but the middle of it did seem a bit boring to me. But guys, I'll go ahead and wrap it up and give my rating for this film at the very end. Please subscribe, leave a comment, share, and give me a thumbs up as well. Let me know your thoughts on the movie, your expectations, my commentary, and all that. Also, again, I will be doing a long spoilers review with E-Man's movie reviews, and I may be linking up with some other content creators as well. We're just gonna have to see. But my main problem with this film is it was just too lighthearted and too fun, and there's nothing wrong. You're supposed to have a Superman film to have fun, but that took over the seriousness of this movie, and I just didn't feel a sense of danger at all in this movie. I mean, even when people were getting hurt and stuff, I didn't feel the threat. I just didn't. I just felt like everything was going to be okay. I cannot say that this movie was epic or badass or anything like that. It was just fun and lighthearted, and that's fine, but I just wanted more. And so if I had to rate Superman out of a 1 out of 10, I cannot give this movie above a 7 out of 10 right now. And that's fine. That's a good rating, a 7 out of 10. I don't think it deserves a 6 or a 6.5, but I'll give it a 7 out of 10. I may raise it to a 7.5 or lower it to a 6.5 if I see it again and catch some things that I missed the first time. But it's a good movie. Good. I don't want to say it's a great movie. It's a good movie. It's not trash. It's not garbage. Unfortunately, this Superman it's just not my version of Superman. Now, I'm not saying that it's an inaccurate version of Superman, but there's so many versions of Superman, and this is just not the version for me. And I felt that way with Matt Reeves' Batman with Robert Pattinson. Wasn't a bad Batman movie. It just wasn't my cup of tea, and that's fine. So go see the movie for yourself. I'm not telling anyone not to see the movie. I'm not saying that you have to agree with me. It's all subjective. This is how I feel. You're 100% capable of feeling complete opposite, but let's be respectful in the comments. So yeah, 7 out of 10, guys, and I want to thank y'all so much for tuning in. And before you go, don't forget that I'm B. Avery. That's just my opinion. Peace, and I'll see you next time.